Okay, awesome. So, I am going to attempt to describe how I'm doing some of the stuff that's cool in Legend of Dungeon, because I've had a couple people ask about a few of the things that I'm doing here. I mean, I made a blog post about how I'm doing the dynamic lighting, and I can go over that a little bit, but I also had people asking about how I'm doing my sprite animation and how I am doing the dungeon generating. So it's going to be kind of, I'm streaming to Twitch at the moment, but I'm also saving a copy to my hard drive and I'll upload it to YouTube. If it's any good. If it's terrible, I will hide this from everyone forever. Okay. Well then, let's talk about dynamic lighting, which I actually probably shouldn't have ever called dynamic lighting. Dynamic lighting is probably the wrong thing, because what happens is that everybody looks at it and thinks, oh, look at these great shadows here. As soon as it loads up, anytime now, any moment you want to work, there it goes. So I do all this cool stuff, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at the shadow in the background of that guy." That's not what I meant by dynamic lighting. Those shadows, that's just to show here. I have a scene, and there's this light up here, and this light has no shadows. Huh? Where are my shadows coming from? Oh, they're coming from this one. The lantern. Look, I just turned shadows on. That's it. That is all the hard work that I had to do for that. I clicked this. Is there somebody watching? No. Nobody should be watching. It's like early in the morning. So yeah, no, the trick to make the shadows appear everywhere, that's like one switch. I turn this to shadows. That's it. That's all. Nothing special, nothing fancy. Just a click. The real tricks that I'm doing that are unique and new and cool is the bump mapping. And that's what makes this awesome. If you watch everybody in the tavern here, and you see me move this light around, you can see that they get lit from one side and then lit from the other. So the pixel art itself gets shaded. That's what I mean by dynamic lighting. Hi Hobbs. You're getting recorded. Oh, okay, I hear you. Yeah, I know. That's my cat. He talks to me. It's totally okay. No, I know. Okay. I know you're a kitty. It's okay. Yeah, well, you do your thing. So, right. This is going to be a terrible video. That's okay. All my videos are of this nature. So, dynamic lighting is done on the actual sprites by creating this thing, which is a bump map. And the bump map is made from it's huge. This grayscale image. So I make a height map where white is higher and closer and the darker stuff is further away, and then that through here I told to make a normal map and create from grayscale. I can set all these kinds of different things, and it generates this normal map, which actually makes it so that every single one of these pixels in this normal map, the color is a vector. So the color, which is red, green, and blue values, actually translates to an X, Y, and Z of direction, and that direction tells what direction that pixel is facing, so that it knows how to light that pixel. And that's what gives us our really cool thing. To really understand how much that's affecting the game, all you have to do is turn the bump mapping off. And suddenly, you can tell it's still a little flat. It's kind of boring. It's a subtle effect when you're looking at it, but when you have it with comparison, it's like, oh, there's nothing going on here. Now I move this light around, and everything stays the same. So that's what I mean by dynamic lighting, and that's that. Let's put that back on. Oh, that index doesn't get reset. There. Much better. Okay, the next thing I wanted to do was to show animation. People are asking how I'm doing my animation of sprites. Okay, so I'm doing all custom animation. I'm not using some sort of plugin thing. I am using my own code. And I haven't previously looked at this, so like there's lots of things coming out. I don't know what this is all about. Yep. And I haven't I took some of this code from some publicly available tile animation code, but I've added a bunch of stuff for Legend of Dungeon. Man, how do I go about explaining this? So the basis of it is that I have these sprite sheets that have all the different animations for each character on one texture, and then what I'll do is I use the mapping on the material to tile it and offset it so that I can scroll through each of the maps. So let's see, if I offset it by 50 instead, it switches to a different thing. So I can scroll through each of the things, and basically in the code I'm just toggling through all these different offsets. So how does it do it? Basically I'm actually setting the texture offset and scales per frame. So, and then all of my other code calls this set ANI, where I get a string, and I'll go through that in a second. But let's see, the offset code is down here. So it's this particular calculation where I have an index number. Well, that's the charge stuff. We find it actually in the update code. All kinds of extra stuff. Okay. Right. So I have an index that is the index of animation. So it's like it starts at 0 and goes all the way to the end of the animation. And I have a particular number tile set. So like this skeleton is a 4x4 tile. And all this code takes that, the UV tile X and Y, which is going to be 4 and 4, and does this calculation to get these, and then uses those to do all this kind of stuff and find the offset and set it. I'm not going to pretend that I understand exactly what this is doing. I'm sure I could figure it out if I wanted to, but I don't. I don't want to figure it out. I'm just calling it, and it's okay. It works. I do kind of know what it's doing. I'm lying. But I don't want to explain it. So it's fairly simple. And sometimes what I do is I sometimes animate that bump map, and sometimes I don't. Because some of them don't need an animated bump map. I can actually do a trick where, like, see this skeleton guy? He's got all of his bumps for all of his different animations, because he's pretty much like one pixel here and there, and they don't really interfere with each other, all of his different poses. Yeah. So there's that. How do I go through all the things? So, and this is probably not the best way to do this, but this is how I do it. I have this little ANI object, which is just completely blank and empty, and then inside of here I have all these different named game objects with my ANI script inside of them. So this is where all of the different options for each different animation for a character are set. So this is the start index and end index for this particular animation. It's 6 to 9. So let me find him. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9. This is his attack animation right there. Attack 1. Yes, the 6 to 9. So I set these all up, and then I got all sorts of other cool options that are just like very Legend of Dungeon stuff about how to make it animate. And what I do is in set ANI, I look for a name in, how does it do it? I haven't looked at this code, like most of this code, in a very long time, so here we go. Yes, I find a transform called animations find child. So I know that animations is this ANI thing, and I look for a child called, let's say I'm calling attack 1. So attack 1 would come in here, I'd find its child, and then I'd load up all of its settings. I grab the ANI script, and then I start to pull, I set it as the current animation, and then that lets me down here somewhere pull, nope, that's charge, that's why that's not what I want. I can pull, yes, my ANI end, like I can get where the end and beginning of the animations are, and the speed of the animation is how, you know, so it pulls all of the information for that particular animation on that particular character. And I even do cool stuff like I put like step in, so like he bounces, and all kinds of other stuff, and sound and everything is all taken care of inside of this and gets picked up by the animate over here. So it's actually a fairly complicated little thing that I'm doing, but I put it together piece by piece and it all works. And it's why I'm not kind of like, here's the code of how to do this, because it's all very, very specific to what I'm doing. It's not something somebody else could just grab the code from and use. I think I found this animation script that I based everything else off of on the Unify wiki. I'll see if I can find that and post a link to it somewhere. So if anybody has any more specific questions in how I'm doing all of that, I'd be happy to answer. Yeah, so just feel free to send me a message. Let's move on. Should I move on? I'll show off one little quick last thing so you can see what it looks like actually animating as soon as it builds. Selected. Okay. So you can see it actually clicking through each of those animations, or each of those tiles, while he's running around in there. Yep, see, there it goes. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Wait for the trucks to go by. Alright, how I make a dungeon. Down here, I have a bunch of tile sets. Turn my light off. That I build the dungeon out of. This is going to be tricky to talk about because it's complicated. Anyway, this is all of Legend of Dungeon at the moment. The inside of the dungeon is all these pieces. So I created all these tiles. Let's see. So yeah, tiles, and I've got all these different pieces. So like this is a tile set. And then I'm basically just popping these next to each other to make a dungeon. And I'm doing some cool things, like I'm setting up ends and start bits. Like it's actually knows where its end point is and beginning point. So I've got useful information about assembling it all together. I have a main thing to generate them. I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to make this make sense eventually here. So just hold on, everybody, and we'll see if this actually turns into useful information for someone. So what I do? There should be a make dungeon. Make dungeon. Okay, excellent. All right. So how I'm going through. I'm telling it to make a certain number of floors somewhere. Make dungeon must make. Find references for that. Alright. This must be the actual dungeon creator. Start. Yes. Okay. Look, I'm making 26 floors. For every floor, I make a dungeon, which makes a bunch of rooms for that dungeon. Okay. Go to declaration. Okay, so this is all the make a rooms. So then I go to make a room. Basically, I'm just creating new offsets every time I do. Okay, so let's go. Each dungeon gets a room. Somebody's watching. It's crazy. Go to declaration, make a room. So I'm adding a bunch of different room data. But the important part is that I'm finding out whether or not I should put stairs on that room through this, and that's a random number, right? Man, I made this complicated. Okay, so we go through. We start with a end cap. That's what we create there, and then we start creating a particular amount of tiles per the length of the room. I'm picking a room length, and this cycles through and creates all the things. If I'm supposed to do stairs, this will create and spawn the stairs. Otherwise, if I'm on floor 26, I should probably create a treasure. If I am on, otherwise, yeah, don't. Otherwise, create a stairs down. I see. So this is creating stairs up. This is setting the stairs down. So I have to make sure that somewhere in the dungeon I do that. Otherwise, I should check to see if I should create a door. This is making doors, and this is entering the door data so that I can attach some doors to other doors. And this is setting up either a special tile, where you get like the waterfalls or things like that, or a normal tile. That's it. I just pop them all down next to each other. Oh, and then important, super important, is putting lights in. So that after, as I make the rooms, I'm actually creating new lights. So these tiles don't have set lights on them. They do for some of them, but for like fires and stuff like that. But the lights generate different for every room in the dungeon. And then I put an end cap on it. That's it. It's pretty straightforward and boring. I just have tiles. I link them all together. I can show you what it looks like in the editor when it's running. Look, okay, so it makes all these floors here. Let's enable it. Oh yeah, and as I go from room to room and so on and so forth, it enables and disables it. Alright, so as they enable, they get spawns and stuff like that too. So there's a Gorgon in there. Oh, 'cause it's going to be messed up because the numbers for things to spawn are not right. It's spawning title characters instead. That's not important. So yeah, these are all actually sets of tiles in a room. So you have this one. There's a door here, floor switch, and that's how they assemble. And then the lights are here and here. Let's put this on. Yeah. So these are the generated lights, which just step away from it. Just a small algorithm to put lights on the top and lights on the bottom to make it look pretty. I can go to another floor here. And enable. Oh, well, this is a separate floor. I don't actually want to do that. Let's enable another room on this floor instead of being crazy. Now I separate them significantly in space so that the camera doesn't, because as I move from one room to the next room, I'll keep the last room that I was in enabled so that things can still move around in there, but they should be far enough away that they don't mess up the other camera. Okay, so this has the stairs down spot. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying now. Yep, that's it. It generates them out of tiles. All those tiles you saw down there, they just stack together and make the game. The only other thing to look at is you can see all these enemies that spawn. They come in from... let me turn on my line module. Okay, so you can see this yellow box here in the center. That's just my item spawner, which asks what room I'm currently in, on what level, and figures out from a base thing what kind of stuff to spawn in it. That's it. That's all there is. There isn't much else. It's just a bunch of assembled tiles. So, what's cool is that, like in the final version, I can make lots of these, more of these tiles, so the dungeon will get more diversity than it already has, and it's already pretty, it's pretty cool. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. If anybody has any specific questions, again, I'm happy to answer them, and if there's any other details of how I'm doing stuff that people want more information about, I am happy to talk about it. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Okay. I'm going to stop streaming now.